This is an Inspector Calls Part 2 by G.B. Presley and adapted by Rosie Donovan and Holly Wise.
Well, I hope the neighbours didn't see the inspector arrive. I don't want them asking questions.
Come on, Mum. Dad knows everyone round here. She probably just needs some help from him, that's all.
Yes, Eric. But if it isn't, it could ruin your father's reputation.
Mother! I doubt it's anything serious. The neighbours aren't going to say anything. They hardly talk to us anyway.
If they say anything, it could make your father's company look bad, Sheila. I wonder where she parked the car.
Mum, stop thinking about the neighbours. Who cares what they think?
You both should be as worried. What if your fiancé's parents found out?
I'm sure they will understand once he explains to them what's happened. They aren't going to make him cancel everything just over a police inspector.
Well, it's bad timing. We are meant to be celebrating your engagement. I can't believe that she had the audacity to even come on a night like this.
She's doing what she's paid to do. It's not her fault that it's a bad time. Anyway, I'm sure she will be done soon.
Why don't you go and see if they need anything, Sheila? I need to talk to your brother about something.
Eric, what have you done now?
No clue, but you know what Mother's like. She overacts on everything. She probably heard rumours from the neighbours that I'm doing drugs behind that dingy backstreet takeaway.
Sheila, out.
What's all this about streets? What's all this about?
Nothing to do with you, Sheila.
No, wait a minute, Miss Burling.
Look here, Inspector. I consider this uncalled for. I've half a mind to report you. I've told you all I know, and it doesn't seem to me very important. And now, there isn't the slightest reason why my daughter should be dragged into this unpleasant business.
What business? What's happening?
I'm a police inspector, Miss Burling. This afternoon, a young woman drank some disinfectant and died in the infirmary after several hours of agony.
Oh, how horrible. Was it an accident?
No, she wanted to end her life. She felt she couldn't go on any longer.
Well, don't tell me that's because I discharged her from my employment nearly 2 years ago.
Did you, Dad?
Yes, the girl had been causing trouble at the office. I was quite justified.
Yes, I think you were. I know we'd have done the same thing. Don't look like that, Sheila.
Sorry. It's just, I can't help thinking about this girl. Destroying herself so horribly. I wish you hadn't told me. What was she like? Quite young?
Yes, 24.
Pretty?
She wasn't pretty when I saw her today, but she had been pretty. Very pretty.
That's enough of that.
And I don't really see how this inquiry gets you anywhere, Inspector. It's what happened to her after she left Mr. Burling's work that is important.
Obviously. I suggested that some time ago.
And we can't help you there because we don't know.
Are you sure you don't know?
Are you suggesting now that one of us knows something about this girl?
I am.
You didn't come here just to see me, then?
Nope.
Well, of course, if I'd known that earlier, I wouldn't have talked about reporting you. You understand that, don't you, Inspector? I thought that, for some reason best known to yourself, you were making the most out of this tiny bit of information I could give you. I'm sorry, this makes a difference. You are sure of your facts?
Some of them, yes.
I can't think they could be of any great consequence.
The girl's dead, though.
What do you mean by saying that? You talk as if we were responsible.
Just a minute, Sheila. Now, Inspector, perhaps you and I had better go and talk this over quietly somewhere.
Why should you? She's finished with you. She says it's one of us now.
Yes, I'm trying to settle it sensibly for you.
Well, there's nothing to settle as far as I'm concerned. I've never known an Eva Smith.
Neither have I.
Was that her name? Eva Smith?
Yes.
Never heard it before.
Like a lot of these young women, she'd used more than one name. She was still Eva Smith when Mr. Burling sacked her, but after that she stopped being Eva Smith. Perhaps she'd had enough of it.
Can't blame her.
I think it was a mean thing to do. Perhaps that spoiled everything for her.
Rubbish. Do you know what happened to this girl after she left my offices?
Yes, she was out of work for the next 2 months. Both her parents were dead, so she had no home to go back to, and she hadn't been able to save much out of what Burling and Co. paid her. So after 2 months, with no work, no money coming in, and living in shared accommodation, with no relatives to help her, few friends, lonely, half-starved, she was feeling desperate.
I should think so. It's an awful shame.
There are a lot of young women living this sort of existence in every city and big town in this country, Miss Burling, thanks to cheap labour, the likes such as your father uses to run his business.
But these girls aren't cheap labour. They're people.
I've had that notion myself from time to time. In fact, I've thought that it would do us all a bit of good if sometimes we tried to put ourselves in the place of these young women, counting their pennies in their dingy little back bedrooms.
Yes, I expect it would. But what happened to her then?
She had what seemed to her a wonderful stroke of luck. She was taken on in a shop, a high-end shop, Chanel in fact.
Chanel? She was lucky to get taken.
That's what she thought, and it happened at the beginning of December after she was sacked by you, Mr. Burling. So that gave her a chance. It seems like she liked working there. It was a nice change from an office. She enjoyed being among pretty clothes, I've no doubt, and now she felt she was making a good fresh start. You can imagine how she felt.
Yes, of course.
And then she got herself into trouble there, I suppose.
After about a couple of months, just when she felt she was settling down nicely, they told her she'd have to go.
Not doing her work properly, I assume.
No, there was nothing wrong with the way she was doing her work. They admitted that.
There must have been something wrong.
All she knew was that a customer complained about her, and so she had to go.
When was this?
At the end of January last year.
What did this girl look like?
If you'll come over here, I'll show you.
Produced by Holly Wise, directed by Rosie Donovan, featuring the voices of Elise Watts as Sheila, Alan Hadlow as Mr. Burling, Fran Payne as the Inspector, Will Bray as Eric, and Philip Fortin as Gerald. Tune in next week for part 3 of An Inspector Calls.